Welcome into the Commander's Report. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and today we're going to be talking about some bad news on a potential Trey Hendrickson trade that Commanders fans have gotten over the last several hours. And then we'll be giving you my updated list of 2025 team needs for your Washington Commanders after the first week of NFL free agency is now over and done with. Before we get into the content today, help us out here at the Commanders Report by sharing today's video, whether it's with somebody in your life that's a Commanders fan and you think will enjoy our content, or posting today's video on your social media to spread the word about our channel. It's word of mouth referrals like that really help out this channel and help us grow our subscriber base. So thank you guys so much for all the support that you have given to us, clicking that subscribe button, all that stuff. And if you want to help us out even more today, make sure you share today's video with somebody you think will enjoy our content. So let's start here with some bad news on Trey Hendrickson, where new reporting is now suggesting that the Cincinnati Bengals may be able to lock up Trey Hendrickson to a new contract extension, pairing his new deal along with the deals they got done last night for star wide receivers Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, locking both of those guys up. They just made Jamar Chase the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of football. So that is obviously two big contracts that, are going to be on their books for many seasons. They already locked up Joe Burrow to a long-term contract. So there's a lot of people that are wondering just how can Cincinnati make this deal happen? Well, they can backload the money on the deal. They can add a bunch of void years. They can do a lot of different cap tricks to keep Trey Hendrickson in the building there in Cincinnati. Now, if they do keep Trey Hendrickson there, they're probably not going to be able to sign many other veteran players. They're going to have to build through the draft for pretty much the rest of their roster because they're paying, four players, top of market value. But the big question when it comes to Trey Hendrickson, both in terms of a potential return to Cincinnati and then also the potential for somebody to trade for him, is how much is he asking for? Because right now the market rate, because of Myles Garrett's new contract at edge rusher, is $40 million per season. So Trey Hendrickson had more sacks than Myles Garrett had last year. So if he wants to go to the Bengals and say, I want $40 million or more per season on my next contract, he certainly is within his right to do that. Now, would anybody pay Hendrickson that much? I do not know. He only has that one season where he's led the league he's led the NFL in sacks. And personally, I would not pay him $40 million per season. I would personally rather pay somewhere in the range of $35 to $38 million per season. And if the Commanders can both trade probably their first round pick to go get Hendrickson and then pay him $35 to $38 million per season, and that's something Trey is willing to take, I would be in on trading for him and to bring him into the fold here in Washington. And we're going to talk a little bit later about how they still have a big need at number one edge rusher this year. And Trey Hendrickson can certainly provide that. And for the right price tag, and again, it's a lot of money. It's a high draft pick I'm willing to give up for him, a first round pick and then $35 to $38 million per season. You can see the production for yourself, man. Last two seasons, 17 and a half sacks. He has a bunch of tackles for loss. He's a very disruptive player, and he's the type of player that can take this Commanders defense to the next level if he is made available and if the Commanders find the right price for him. So let me know down there in the comment section. Predict Hendrickson's next team in 2025 for me. Do you think it's going to be the Bengals? Type CIN. Do you think he'll come to the Commanders? Type WAS. Type DET for the Detroit Lions, another team that is very much on the hunt for another edge rusher to pair with Aiden Hutchinson. Or if you think he goes to a different team, maybe like the Philadelphia Eagles or somewhere else, type which team you think that Trey Hendrickson will be playing next season. This will be the pinned comment on today's show. So in just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at Turtle Beach Headsets. And while I'm talking about Turtle Beach, go down there in the comments section and answer today's pinned question. And with that, let's have a word from our sponsor today at Turtle Beach Headsets. You guys might have noticed I don't have my normal headset on today. That's because I'm wearing the Turtle Beach headset that I own right now for today's video, and you guys can hear and you guys can see that these headsets are like the best on the market, guys. Like, they are so comfortable. They have super crystal clear sound, and when I'm playing Madden or college football at home, I love to play with my fellow colleagues here at Chat Sports. We have multiple online leagues, and of course, I'm winning all of them because I know ball more than the rest of them. But if you guys want to hear every single blade of grass, every single catch of the football, every single throw, you want to hear the spiral come out of your quarterback's hands when you play sporting video games at home. This is the headset for you guys. You guys can head on over to turtlebeach.com and use code chat for 10% off your entire order. That's 10% off your entire order at turtlebeach.com with promo code chat. After your purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you here at the Commander's Report by Chat Sports. Get the ultimate immersive gaming experience with Turtle Beach today, and level up your gaming experience right now with a Turtle Beach headset today when you go to turtlebeach.com/chat and use code chat for 10% off. So now let's talk about some updated Commanders team needs. Obviously, the Commanders made quite a few signings last week during the first week of NFL free agency, and they've, for the most part, rounded out their roster for the 2025 season. But there's still 4 areas that I think the Commanders are going to be looking to upgrade in terms of where they're going to be shifting their focus as we get closer to the NFL draft this year. The first one is edge rusher, and this one might be addressed via trade with Trey Hendrickson. If the Commanders are able to pull off a blockbuster trade for him, because right now they've got some decent pieces in the edge rusher room, but they don't have that true bona fide number 1 edge rusher. Now, you can maybe argue that Frankie Louvu, an inside linebacker, is their best overall pass rusher right now, but along the edge, you got Dorrance Armstrong. You brought back Cleveland Ferrell this weekend, a move that I think is a pretty decent one given his ability to stop the run. Dietrich Wise was a big signing last week. Jacob Martin, a rotational pass rusher that I really like coming in here. Javonte Jean-Baptiste and then Jalen Holmes are some of the more rotational depth guys in this room right now. But if you can add like a Trey Hendrickson or maybe a Michael Walker, a Mike Green, a James Pierce Jr. in the NFL draft this year to this group, I think that is going to really solidify this group as something that could maybe potentially do some damage for the Washington Commanders heading into next year, as opposed to, if we're being honest, one of the worst edge rusher groups in the entire National Football League as we sit here today. So edge is a big, big need. The second one that I want to talk about here is strong safety, because the Commanders did go out and they did sign somebody after Jeremy Chin ended up taking a contract with the Las Vegas Raiders. They brought in Will Harris, who's got some experience with a couple different football teams, the Detroit Lions, and then more recently with the New Orleans Saints. And, the question is he really the plan for the Washington Commanders to start next year? And, I think I see Will Harris more as a rotational piece, as like a third safety that can come in and play a bunch of different roles. Played a little bit in the slot last year, played a lot of free safety, played some strong safety. And of course, Quan Martin played free safety for this team last year. I don't think this team wants to move off of him. So I could certainly see Washington try and go out and get somebody to fill that Jeremy Chin type of role. Maybe they really like Nicky Manwari out of South Carolina, who is kind of a similar athletic freak out of the NFL draft this year. Maybe they even spend their first round draft pick on him this year. But, when it comes to Will Harris, I think he's a good player, but I don't know if he's a great player. And I don't know if you want him to be your full-time starting strong safety. I would rather use him in a more versatile role, which is why strong safety is still a need in my book. Then we get to wide receiver, and, they did bring some players back in this group. You did lose De'Ami Brown. You did lose Olamide Zaccheaus, but you traded for Deebo Samuel, and you brought back Noah Brown, who this team really does like. Of course, Noah dealt with some injuries last year. He's dealt with injuries the last several years, but right now he is slated to be this team's number 3 wide receiver. This team also drafted Luke McCaffrey relatively early in last year's NFL draft, so I think Luke is going to have a bigger role in this offense next year. But I also think that they are going to add another younger piece to this wide receiver room in the NFL draft, probably before the end of day 2, where I think that, there's a lot of really good wide receiver prospects this year, just like there are every year. I think you're going to be able to get somebody probably in the second round or so that can come in here, be a contributor on day 1, be a part of this group and rotation that I think has a potential to be a part of this group for a very, very long time. Then the final team need here is somewhere along the offensive line, okay? Because they restructured Andrew Wiley to keep him here for the foreseeable future. They still have Nick Allegretti on the roster, but they obviously traded for Laramie Tunsil, a left tackle. So the question really begs, where is Brandon Coleman going to play moving forward? Are they going to move him to right tackle and then kick Andrew Wiley into guard? That's personally something that I would really think about. But I also think that Brandon Coleman would be really good at left guard, and then maybe you draft an offensive tackle to eventually take over for Andrew Wiley. So I think that depending on where Brandon Coleman and where Adam Peters and Dan Quinn plan to play him next year, if they're planning for him to be a right tackle, potentially they could draft a guard. All right. But if they want to play him at left guard, potentially they could draft an offensive tackle at some point to play behind Andrew Wiley, learn from that veteran, and then eventually take over as this team's new starting right tackle for the future. All right, so those are my 4 updated team needs for the Washington Commanders. We're going to be talking about those team needs and how the team can address those needs throughout the rest of this offseason, specifically with the NFL draft coming up. We'll be doing a bunch of videos surrounding the NFL draft all month long, getting ready for the big day in Green Bay. We're going to be getting you guys positional rankings, in-depth prospect analysis, weekly mock drafts right here on the Commanders Report. So make sure you guys get down there in the comments section and let me know down there right now, what position should Washington prioritize in round 1 of the NFL draft? Should it be edge rusher? Should it be receiver? Should it be strong safety? What do you guys think? Let me know down there in the comment section. If you don't get Trey Hendrickson, I think you got to put all of your focus towards getting a number 1 edge rusher in round 1 this year. That'll be it for today's edition of the Commanders Report, guys. Thank you so much for making it to the end of today's program. Thank you so much for all the support that you give to me, to Joey, everybody here at the Commanders Report. You guys are the absolute best. We will see you guys tomorrow. And until then, guys, go raise some hell.